So this is part 4 of Sinatra project build, live build. And as I say at the beginning of all of these, but I really mean it, please ask questions. The more questions you ask, the richer this video will be, both now and in the future, for people for whoever decides to watch it. There you can ask questions via chat. There's a Zoom chat. If you look on the menu bar there somewhere should be a little chat box, or you might have to click on a little menu that says more to get chat. You can also obviously ask verbally. Either way is fine. So please ask questions if you have them. All right, so our project, I'll just go over it very quickly, what it is and how far we've come. Our project has 2 models, a user and a journal entry. User has many journal entries. A journal entry belongs to a user. Pardon me. So we're gonna keep this very simple for now. I have an application controller thus far. My application controller, I have 2 helper methods to see if someone's logged in and current user. My user's controller so far, this is where I've put my login and logout routes. And I might want to add a sessions controller or something down the road to put things like get login and post login. We could also put these in application controller if we wanted to. For now, they're inside of users. We have a get sign up route, which will allow someone to sign up. That form submits to post users because we're creating a new user. I also have the get user show page, the show route, I should say, and the logout route, all created here inside of user's controller. I don't have a lot done yet with views. I have a user show page, which just shows the email and user's name and email. And I have my login form, my sign up form. The welcome page actually comes from Cornel. And the layout also is just default. So let's think about where we're going to go today. Let's set some goals for today. I'm now able to sign up. And let's run my server so we can see this in action. I'm going to run shotgun. I'm able to sign up and sign in right now, and that's good. I think for today, what I think I'd like to be able to do is have some links so that a user can start to navigate a little bit. I think it would be good if we can build the functionality to create a journal. And I think that'll be, I should say a journal entry. That's a pretty good goal for today. If we could create the get journal new route, which will render the form, the post journals route, which will receive that form and create a new journal, and a journals show route and a journals index route. That'll be a good chunk of code to take care of for today. So hopefully we'll get that done. And any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. That's what I'm here for. So don't hesitate if you have questions. I'm going to go to localhost 9393. I'm going to walk through what happens when I do that. Or actually, does anybody want to tell me when I click localhost 9393 and I hit enter? All right, I got a boot error. That's awesome. Okay. All right, so I was starting off with this. What's happening here? Where do I look? I got a boot error.
Have you run shotgun yet?
Yeah, I ran shotgun,
Okay.
and it thought about starting up, and it loaded, and I've got this thing that says boot error. Something went wrong while loading config.ru. That's a very nice sort of English error. Syntax error, users Flatiron School development code, projects, Sinatra Journal app controllers, etc., etc. Users controller RB70. This is a big clue. Okay, something's wrong here. Syntax error, unexpected identifier, expecting keyword end to get logout do. So this is actually an excellent error. This tells me like exactly where to look. So let's do that. I'm going to find my controller, my user's controller. And I'm going to scroll down and look somewhere around line 70 something. Okay, there's a get log. What did it say? Get logout do. Session.clear, redirect, then end. That's interesting. What happens if I comment this out? If anyone sees, by the way, what the problem is, please shout it out because I don't see it right away. I'm going to comment this route out and see if that changes anything. wonder if I'm still going to get a syntax error. Okay, that did it. Something is wrong with this route. Although I literally don't see it. Does anybody see it? I really don't. I'm going to rewrite it. Get logout do, okay, session.clear, clears out my session hash, redirect to login. Actually, I'll just redirect back to the root. If I save that, so now I'm going to ask the question again. I'm just going to go to localhost 9393 and hit enter. Does anybody want to walk me through what just happened? Not the errors that I don't know what that was. It seems like the same code I had before, but whatever. What happened when I hit enter? Yeah, Sushi, that's what the error was telling me, but I didn't. It seemed right last time I looked at it, but it's working now. I'm not going to complain.
That happened to me one time with an end, and I deleted just the end, and I rewrote just the word end, and it worked.
Yeah, it looked very strange because I didn't see the problem. I think it was working last time I looked at this. So sometimes strange things happen. I can't explain, but it seems to be working now. Although notice that here I get this Sinatra template default page. So like this is actually the welcome page here, because when I hit localhost 9393, nothing happened. If I actually hit the / and hit enter, let's see if something else happens. Well, I am flummoxed. You're welcome. Oh, well, it's doing exactly what I have it doing. Okay, so sorry about that. Let's get in the mode in the groove here. When I go to my root domain and I hit enter, what happens is we get a brand new GET request generated from the browser that sends to the server and says get me just nothing but /. Okay, it's an HTTP request. And what happens with a Sinatra application? That request is going to land in. Is first going to get processed through config.ru, and our environment will load, and then the controller that's invoked with the run. The controller, I should say, that we pass to the run method here is the first controller, and all the other controllers that we mount with use will go next. And so first we'll look in application controller. We'll try and match this route, this GET request, get /, and here's where it matches. And the reason we're seeing this generic welcome page that Cornel gave us is because that's exactly what I'm telling it to do. So that's not what I want. When a user goes to my root page, where should I send them? Any thoughts? A welcome page is fine, but I don't want to use Cornel's welcome page. And instead, I'd rather send them to like the login page, I think. So I'm going to actually say redirect to login. Okay. So now, when I hit enter up here, I should see get / fire first. If I look at my log here, there it is, get /. And get / should hit this redirect, which sends a brand new GET request. And if I look in just a moment, there it is, get login has now fired. And so that's going to go through and, again, start the process over again. We're going to try and find a route that matches. It doesn't match that one. There are no other routes in application controller, so we go to users controller, and there it is, get login, which renders our login ERB page, which lives top level under views. There it is. So this is basically what I should see on the page, and there it is. So this is the HTML. This is the rendering. Awesome. So there's a little bit of a problem here. Suppose that I arrive at this application, and I've never I want to use this app, but I've never signed in. Yes, and today that's a good point. We should basically redirect to index or give an option for login and sign up, and that's what we're going to do. And imagine that I've never signed up for this application. Right now, I don't really. If I'm a user of this app, like I don't know that I can adjust the URL. Whoever knows what the URLs are for a website, I need a way that a user could easily see. Hey, I don't have a login. I need to click a button to sign up. So how would I do that? Where's a good place to put links? Any thoughts?
Would it be better to maybe have like an index page that the user sees that will say, welcome to the journal app.
Mm-hmm.
Please sign up or log in.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to see. And so we could either put that on a welcome page by itself, and that's a developer decision. I can create my own welcome page, and it says welcome to this application. You log in or sign up. That would be fine. Okay, I could do that. I could also put links across this page up here as well, like a little nav bar right on my login page. I don't know. We could take a vote, or you know what? I like the idea of the welcome. So you know what I'm going to do? I like that. We're going to stick with that. Let's do that. So let's go back to my application controller, and let's have this actually go back to ERB welcome as it did before. And I'm going to go ahead and hijack Sinatra's welcome page. So I'm going to get rid of this because yeah, let's see what it gives us. Let's just see what it looks like again. How much of this do I want to keep, if any? I don't think I really want any of this. I think we're going to clear it all out. So what do we want to say? We want to say welcome to Sinatra Journal app. Let's make it big. Welcome to Sinatra Journal app. Okay, oops. And I'm going to want a couple of links here that allow someone to either log in or sign up. So how do I build a link? Anyone?
With the HTML tag A.
Yeah, an anchor tag, exactly. And where do I want to send someone to log in?
Your login page.
Exactly, and that's called login. So login or sign up. This is really, really simple. There's not much of an explanation here. I could probably make it look better, but for now, this should work just fine. So now if I refresh this page, there's something missing actually. What did I forget to do here?
Howard, add in like the name, the login and the sign up. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Good call. I just have the or, and that doesn't do us much good. Okay. So this is a nice little landing page that says, log in or sign up. Okay, this works. I like this. So now I can choose which I need to do, and I should be routed to either the login or the sign up page accordingly. I'm going to click sign up for now, and sign up with a name of Justin, because you're there, justin@j.com, password. And let's see, that sends a post request to my users. Post users in my users controller. Should we create a new user? And if everything goes well, post users, I should have created a new user, signed in by adding a user ID key to the session hash, and redirecting to that user's show page. And there it is, Justin's show page, and here's Justin's email. This is looking good, okay? But I still don't have any sort of navigation once I'm inside of this thing. So where can I go now to add some links that will allow me to do things like log out or see courses or all those types of things? How could I build those in? What's a good page to put a nav bar where we'll always see the same thing? Where within my ERB files do I have a page that's always accessible unless I explicitly say that it shouldn't be there?
The layout.
Yes, 100%. And so inside my layout page, right at the top of the body here, I think I could put some like a nav bar. So I'm going to say something like div. I'll say nav just for fun. And I'm just going to put some links here, right in line, right next to each other. I know I want to be able to log out, which I'm going to create another anchor tag for log out. Okay. What other links do I want here? Maybe I want to see all the journal entries. I don't know. Where else would I want to go? Does that make sense for now, I guess? What if I want to be able to create a new journal entry? I think that belongs here too. So if I go back to my users page, oh, all right, so here's another problem I'm having. Just by playing around, I've already signed in. Why did I shouldn't really be able to see this welcome page if I'm already signed in. How could I adjust that so that doesn't happen? Any thoughts?
Maybe use, the helper method. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly. And so where that logic could go here, right? What do we think? Does it look like it could go here? Because I only want to show this welcome page if someone's not logged in. So I can add some logic. If logged in, do one thing, else do something else. Okay. And I want to show the welcome page if they're not logged in. So I'm going to put that in the else. And where should we send a user if they are logged in?
To the user show page.
I think that's reasonable. And how can I access the URL for a particular user's show page, knowing that the ID needs to go right here? How do I have access to the current user's ID? I can just interpolate right here using my helper method that I've already built. Current user returns the current user from the database, if it exists. Okay? I should say .id to get the ID from that user. And if I save that and I refresh this page, let's see if we actually go back now to Justin's show page. We should match this route. If we're logged in, we're going to go to the current user show page. Otherwise, we'll show that welcome page again. And there's Justin's show page. So this is good. This is feeling good. I am concerned though that I didn't see this. Oh, right. I keep forgetting to write stuff, right? We do need to populate our anchor tags with journal entries. I'll say all journal entries. We do need to put these, we do need to populate our anchor tags with text or they won't show up. That's a lesson learned right there.
Howard, when
Yeah.
you have a moment,
Yeah.
if you can go ahead and git commit what you've done. So
Thank you. Oh, Alina, you are my Git savior. I love it. That's a great point. I have made way too many changes already not to commit something. So let's check my status. Oh wow, see, look at all this stuff. So I'm going to add these one at a time. Let's do app controllers. Application controller. I only did a couple things. Git commit, and I fixed a weird error, which I'm just going to mention. And then I added logic to route. See, I say route for the reason that R-O-O-T is root. So I say route. Some people say root here too, and that's fine. Then it's root. Okay, let's check my status again. Let's see, what did I do in users controller thus far? Let's check git diff. And I can see that it looks like, oh, this was my users controller. Oops, I committed the wrong thing in the last one. That's okay. Git add app users controller. Okay, where were we? Git add app controllers, users controllers. So what did I actually do in the user controller? I fixed that weird error. Is that the only thing I've done thus far in the users controller? It is. Okay, so this was actually the weird error. Oh well.
You also added the logic into the user to their show page in the user controller, right?
I think that was in the application controller. So I had it backward a little bit. Yeah, I screwed up my commits here, but that's okay. Weird error fix. git add app, use welcome, git commit, customize welcome page, git status, git add app, whoops, yep, use layout, git commit. What did I do with the layout file? If you accept this commit, it will add some nav links. And then finally, git status shows me that my database has changed because I added Justin. So I'll say git add dot, because it's the last one, git commit. If you accept this commit, it will add Justin to DB. And I'll go ahead and push those up. Okay, thank you. Don't forget to commit. That's way too many commits. Way too long not to commit. So let's go back and look at this. Now I have a little bit of a nav bar going up here. It's not beautiful, but it works for now. I can log out. If I click log out, it should log me out, and I should go back to the welcome page, I believe. Maybe. There it is, log in or sign out. Now I can log in. And if I can remember what my email address was, I believe it was justin@j.com with a password of password. And now we're starting to cook a little bit. This is feeling good. If I click all journal entries, I am going to have a bit of a problem though. And this is kind of where we're heading today. If I click all journal entries, I created a route within that link that doesn't exist. This doesn't exist because we don't even have a journal entries controller yet. And that's where we're going to start out today. Any questions about anything we've talked about just yet? Everybody feeling okay? Feel free to drop in those questions. And here we go. So what are my steps to add a controller? I do need to create the file, so I'm going to do that now. Do I even have a, yeah, okay. So I'm going to create a new file called journal entries controller. The convention for a controller in both Rails and in Sinatra is plural. So journal, and if it's a multi-word, then we use an underscore. So journal entries controller.rb. It's a Ruby file. And anybody want to help me out with how I should write the class declaration here?
This one will inherit from the application controller.
You're absolutely right. So class journal entries controller will inherit from application controller. Application controller in turn inherits from, if we glance at it, inherits from Sinatra base, and that's what gives us all these methods: get, post, patch. Gives us a tremendous amount of functionality. Okay.
And then also mount it in your config.
Yes, I didn't even have to ask. Yes, that's exactly what I need to do next. I have use users controller, so I'm going to duplicate that line and change this to journal entries. And what I could do, just really quickly, if I wanted to, suppose I want to just double check and make sure that this thing's actually mounted, I could say something like get hot dogs, do, and then just return something ridiculous like, I don't know, ice cream. If I save that, I go from my root domain to hot dogs. Let's see if we see ice cream display on the screen. If we do, we're in business. This is just like a little check, like a little, oh, did I get this thing right? Did I spell everything right? Yes, I did. Now I have a mounted controller that's working. Awesome. Now we're going to get rid of this ridiculous route and think about what we do want to add. So I know I want to add a get journals new to render a form to create new entry, journal entries. Okay, and then if I create a form to create a journal entry, what's my corresponding route that I must create then? Anyone? If I render a form to create a journal entry, where will I send that form? The form is going to send a post request, and that post request is going to go to journal entries. I'm just writing notes right now, by the way. To create a new journal entry, okay? So I also want a show page for a journal entry and an index page. I should say route here, sorry. Route for all journal entries, okay? So let's start fleshing these out a little bit. Anyone have an idea of where we should start? I don't think there's really a wrong answer or a particularly right answer. I think we could pick any of these. Any thoughts? Well, then I'm just going to go kind of in order of the way that I've written them. And help me out. So, you know, if I don't get the answers I'm looking for, obviously I'll start typing. But can anybody tell me, like, what does this route look like? What's the HTTP method, which corresponds to the Sinatra method? I should say, yeah, the HTTP verb. It corresponds to the Sinatra method that I'm going to use here. It's get, right? This is going to be a get request. Get requests will show something that exists, right? Sometimes we'll pull from the database. Sometimes we'll simply grab like a static page. Either way, it's a get request because we're not altering any data. And this get request is going to be journal entries / new. This is the RESTful way to create a route to show us the form to create a new journal entry in this case. Okay. And what should happen from this route? What's the job of this route? Every route has a job. Who can describe the route of the get journal entries new? What's the job of the get journal entries new route? Any thoughts?
To render a page.
Exactly. What page?
I have to see your views folder.
It's not there yet. I don't even have a folder for journal entries, so that's definitely the next step.
Oh, Howard, Sushi has the answers in the chat. It's the form page.
Oh yes, exactly. Thank you. In fact, several people have chimed in, and I didn't look down. I apologize. Yes, yes. Show the form page. Show the page. The new form page. Yes. Render the form. Yes. That's exactly what we're going to do. What should I call this thing? So I'm going to create a folder called journal entries. I apologize. I didn't look down at the chat. So let's go ahead and at least create the ERB files, even if we don't populate them, that we know we're going to need. And the first one is the form. What are we going to call that? What's the typical or conventional way to name a file that's going to display a form for creation? New. Okay. So there's my journal entries new. Oops. New.erb. So I'm just going to write in all caps new form. Okay. Save that for now. Close it. Do I need to create an ERB file for a post request? This is kind of a trick question. I don't even like that I asked it. I'm going to skip that and say, do I need to create an ERB file for a show route? Is this going to need a corresponding ERB page?
Yes.
Yeah.
Post journal entry.
As far as the name of the file down here?
It should be show.erb.
Exactly. And then, so I'm just going to write that as well. Show page for a journal entry. Save that. Close it for now. And my index route, likewise, will be called index. That's the convention anyway, index.erb. And as long as these things are nested underneath the correct folder, there's no ambiguity necessarily of what they are. So this is the index page for journal entries. Okay, I'm gonna close that. And the answer to the question I asked previously was, do we need an ERB file for a post route? And the answer directly, no. The post route's job is not to render anything. So the post route should probably end once it's created a journal entry in a redirect. And so its job is not to render anything. It therefore does not need a corresponding view. When we redirect, we're likely to send the user to either the show or the index page. That's usually what we do. Cool. So ERB, and now we have this a little bit weird syntax of this symbol plus a string, and we're going to journal entries / new. Okay. So now what I'd like to do is add a link up here for our users. Let's see, I think Justin is still signed in. So let's see, we should land on his show page. We do. I'd like a link up here to be able to go to a form to create a new journal entry. I've just built a route to render that form. Now I want to build a link in the layout page to take me there. So I'm going to duplicate this and just simply add new and a little bit of text. How about new entry? Okay. If I refresh the page, I should see my brand new link. There it is. If I click on it, I should get to the ERB file where my form should live. Cool. I'm in business. So now I'm going to build out my journal entries form. Any questions thus far? Please shout them out or drop them in. I am glancing down here from time to time. Actually, I could pull this up. Can you see the group, the chat on the window? Does it share or does it not? I don't think it does.
I'm on my phone and it actually pops up the chat, not the chat window itself, but when people like say something in the chat, I see that pop up.
Oh, okay. Well, I just put it on my screen in front of me, so I won't have to look down anymore, so I can actually see it. Cool. So I'm going to say, like with an H2, so I'm not shouting too loud, create a new entry. Okay. And what HTML element am I going to put here? A form, that's right. Good. And the class, I don't have any styling yet. I'm not too worried about the class just yet, but this is really important, the action. What does this action need to be? If this is a form that's going to create a new journal entry, it's going to be post, that's the method. And what's the action need to be? What's the RESTful way to create something new? The RESTful way to do this is to simply send it to, and so Catherine, that's a great answer, okay? Journal entries new. However, it's a little bit of a deviation from REST. So here's one thing we could do. We could post to journal entries new, and this would work as long as in our journal entries, let's put this down. As long as in our journal entries controller, we put a corresponding post journal entries new here, right? I could do this if I wanted to. Post journal entries new do. The reason I said that's a deviation from REST is this part is unnecessary because the HTTP verbs are different here, and actually they're also different from this one to what we're going to put in the index. So that'll distinguish this from, like, for example, the index page. And I can simply say post journal entries, and that's the convention. So the convention is just so that we use sort of the least number of characters possible to do the job. So, you know, we like to, our fingers, you know, we don't want to wear them out. So post journal entries, post to the plural of whatever we're creating is the convention. Okay. So we're going to remove that new, but that's not to say it won't work. It certainly would work if we did it that way, as long as we built the route that way as well. And so a takeaway there is that the post route doesn't always have to match exactly the current URL of the get route that loaded the form. So I know that was a question that came up in a previous study group, and the answer is no, they don't have to match. You could call them anything you wanted. So in this case, we're creating a journal entry. I know I want an input for, and I'd have to look back. If I forgot what my journal entries look like, I could just refer down to my schema. And my journal entries look like they simply have content. The user ID will figure out how to populate. Timestamps are automatic. Okay. So this is going to be content. Why is it important that I name this, that I name the name content here? The name attribute of this HTML input element needs to match up with the name of the attribute that I'm going to put in here. Why is that so important? Where does this thing end up?
Params.
Yes, 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 yes. It ends up as a key in the params hash. So I'll now have a key in the params hash of content with a value of whatever the user enters. If I want to, I can create an initial value here as well. But I don't want to do that because this is a new form, so I'm not going to. And then this is going to be of type submit, and the value will simply be create new entry. Or how about just create entry? Okay. And let's add some labels to this. Label for name, nope, sorry, label for content. And we'll just say content. Label for, I don't need any other labels. Okay, so let's see what this looks like now. Whoa. Meanwhile, I'm going to check my get status. And I'm going to go ahead and add, I'm going to mention that I created these controllers, or this controller. Add journal entries controller. Git add config.ru. Git commit mount journal entries controller. And let's see, what else do we have left? Git add app views journal entries. Okay, and I've done way too much here. I'm just going to say commit add views and journal entries folder. That was a bad commit message, but that's okay. Git add app views layout. And I'm gonna, what I did there was just add a link to the new page, the new form. Add link to new journal entry page. And I'm gonna push those up. Okay, cool. So now it looks like I should be able to create a new entry, but all I have right now is my get route, which renders the form, and my post route, but I don't have anything here yet. So what's the job of this route again? It's to create a new journal entry. Can we write labels like this? Content, label, content. I think so. I mean, that's really what I've done here, right? Today I just have a 4. You mean, could I write it without the 4? I think that'll still work. It's just going to drop wherever we put it. I don't think that's going to look any different. Yeah, you can do it that way too. Sure. I like having the 4 though. That just seems a little more explicit to me. So now I should be arriving when I submit this form into my post route. And just to make sure that my form is tied correctly, I like to test it kind of every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise params.inspect. I could put a binding.pry. Either way works. I like raise sometimes. Seems nice. So will this work? And what I should get is a runtime error with params displaying at the top of the page if everything is wired up correctly right now. Good. Runtime error at journal entries content. Will this work? My params has a key of content and a value of will this work. This is great. Okay, it's good news. I'm going to go back, and now I actually want to do something here. And how do I create a new journal entry? Any thoughts? What do we think we should do here?
Would you be pushing it into your database at this point or no?
Yeah, that's exactly what I need to do. So I want to create a new journal entry and save it to the DB. Okay, but, whoa, not to the debug, to the database. Okay, save it to, wait, hold on. Sorry, the zoom menu was blocking my view. Save it to the database. There we go. But I only want to save the entry if it has some content. So now I'm saying I'm going to introduce a little bit of logic here. Okay. I also only want to create a journal entry if a user is logged in. So now I'm creating now, and why do I want to do this? Like if we go back to learn.co, actually, did I pull the spec file into this? I think I did. So here's spec.md. If I look at spec.md, which is just a list of the specs, I am using active record. That I have going on. I have 2 model classes already, and I should write those out. I have user and journal entry. I mean, these are sort of speak for themselves. I have a has many relationship. User has many journal entries. I include at least one belongs to. Journal entry belongs to user. So I'm just filling out my spec file right now, just to kind of remind myself, yes, I am meeting these requirements. Okay, and here's, I'm working on this. This is pending. Right now I'm working on the C part, creating. And this is the part that I'm getting to. Ensure that users can't modify content created by other users and include input validations. So these are the things that I'm kind of thinking about. These are what are in my mind right now. So I'm going to save that, get rid of it for now. So let's look at the first one. I only want to create the entry if it has some content. How can I check to make sure that the incoming data has content? What vehicle, what data structure is holding the incoming information, which we just looked at?
The params.
Params, yeah. And in particular, params content has the content. So I'm going to create an if statement. If, and actually I could combine these two into one. I only want to create a journal entry if the user's logged in, and I only want to save the entry if it has some content. However, they're kind of unrelated. Because if a user's not logged in, I want to send them back to the welcome page. If they are logged in, but the entry doesn't have content, then I want to do something else. So I probably should just check and make sure that they're logged in first. So I'll say something like, if logged in, wait a minute, I only want to take action if they're not logged in. Then I'm going to redirect to the root, okay, to the welcome page. Otherwise, if params content is not empty, any questions about this line of code right here? Somebody should be scratching their head a little bit. If everybody's comfortable with this, that's awesome. What am I doing here?
If someone just clicks submit when they're entering a journal without typing anything in, would it actually come back in empty string? Okay,
and what a beautiful question, and that's the perfect question to answer with another raise. Raise params.inspect. So right now, when I hit this route, I should simply see that error again. So now I'm going to clear this out. Actually, I need to refresh this page to grab the current code. And then I'm going to submit a new entry with blank content. And I should see my runtime error. Here's params, and sure enough, this is what submits. So as long as we're getting to this page from the form that we see here, and it has an input with a name of content, params will populate with a key of content, and if it's left blank, the default value of nothing is what will show up. Okay, actually I have an empty string. Let's see what happens if I remove that, just for fun. I'm going to go back to the form. I just cut out the value from the input type. I'm going to refresh the page. And I'm going to click Create Entry again. And notice that we still do get this empty string, even though I didn't give it a default value here. Okay. So it looks like we're pretty safe by checking params for now, params content that against an empty string. Would the condition work if it works in reverse? If params content, then blah, blah, blah? Sure, sure. So if I just said if, well, you mean if param, no, okay. Params content, then blah, blah, blah. Sushi, I guess I'm not sure what you're asking there. Do you mean can I use this in a positive instead of a negative? So the problem with that is Ruby. So, and that's a quick demonstration. We'll show you what I mean. What I can do is drop into IRB, and in Ruby, there are only really two things that are falsy, I should say. And to check the Boolean of anything, I can use the double operator, right? Not true is true, not false is false, not nil is false. Everything else is true, or truthy. Not empty string, true. Not empty array, true. Not empty hash, true. So I can't use an empty string and expect it to ever be false. So if I said something like if puts hello, if empty string, it's going to puts. Okay, it gives me a warning. String literal and condition doesn't like that at all, but it still puts, right, because it's truthy. Okay. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question, Sushi? So we have to, so in Ruby, in other languages that would work, right? If certain languages will have an empty string return false in a condition, but not in Ruby. In Ruby, false and nil are all you got. Everything else is going to be truthy. So it wouldn't really work in reverse. Okay. Good question though. So let's see, if params content is not an empty string, then I want to create a new entry. Otherwise, and let's think of where we want to go if it is empty, I think we could redirect back to the new page. Journal, entries, new. This feels okay for me. If they have blank content, then they're not losing anything anyway. We're just going to send them right back to that form. So now here it is, and somebody actually already gave me some code which I will literally copy and paste from the chat from Sushi, and it looks like this. Oops. Oh crap. Maybe I won't. Maybe that doesn't work. But it looks like this anyway. Journal entry equals journal entry dot create. And I'm passing in params. And this is mass assignment. So params is a hash. It's carrying the exact key value pairs that I need to create a new journal entry, which is just content, actually. Wait a minute. Or is it? What's the problem here? What's this missing? It's subtle, but it's there. Something is missing here. Params only has right now a content key. What two things do I need to create a new journal entry? I do need content, but journal entry belongs to a user. So what other piece of information do I need then to create a new journal entry?
Would we need to set the user to the user ID?
Yeah.
Or like maybe I don't know if we would have to like add in current user.
Yeah. And so how could we do that? We could be more explicit here. Instead of using mass assignment, I could be a little more explicit and say content is going to be params content. Okay. But what about the user ID, which is I think what you just mentioned? How could I draw that in right here on this line? Where do I have access to the current user's ID? Or how do I have access to it?
The session.
The session, yep, session is one place. And since I built a session, I'm trying to think if I prefer one way or the other. What I was thinking is I would grab the current user method.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, but I wasn't sure if we could use it like that.
Yeah, we certainly can. I'm trying to, now I'm just sort of having a little personal debate in my mind of whether I want to grab it straight from the session or if I want to use the helper method. I think I prefer to use the helper method. I think it's a little more explicit. even if it's an extra database call, I don't care. So I'm going to say user ID, that's the key I need, of current user.id. And now I should still be able to do this in one line. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to get rid of my params.inspect, and I'm going to see what happens. See if this thing works. Oh, wait a minute. I have a problem here.
We need to redirect.
Yes, I definitely need to redirect. This is a dead end. And controller actions with dead ends end in blank pages, and that's bad. Okay, so once I've created this journal entry, where should I go? I'm going to redirect. Where do I want to redirect to?
Maybe the journal entry, like that particular journal entry.
I think that's a great idea. So I'm going to say journal entries, and then how do I actually get the ID that I need for this route into this statement?
I believe interpolated.
Yeah, I'm going to interpolate it. And interpolation didn't automatically pop up because in Ruby, in order to interpolate, we need to use double quotes. And now, when I hit the pound sign or the hashtag or whatever you call that thing, tic-tac-toe, I should now be able to grab journal entry.id. The problem is, though, that this route doesn't exist yet. But let's see what that error looks like. We're going to go back and just see what happens. I'm going to refresh the page. And I want to look at my log as it goes. Okay. I'm going to create a new journal entry. Today is wonderful. Because why not? So let's see what happens. We should end up hitting this post journal entries route. I am logged in. We should skip this. Params content should be populated. I should create a new journal entry. This should work. The database should get populated with a new journal entry. And this redirect should fire. Let's see if it did. Oh, okay. I got a syntax error. Why? It's really subtle, guys. I forgot to put a question mark on my logged in route. My logged in helper method, any helper method that returns a Boolean, true or false. In Ruby, the convention is that it ends in a question mark, and mine does, and I just forgot to add it. So I'm going to try to resubmit that form. And perfect! Look at that. The URL says journal entries 4. If I look down here in my log, I can scroll up and see some SQL fired. And it looks like insert into journal entries with a whole bunch of information, including content, today is wonderful, user ID number 4, some timestamps, and commit transaction, which means that it was successful. And then the post route shows up as being successful. And finally, get journal entries 4 fired. However, we got a 404, not a 200. Okay. Yeah, Femi, go ahead. If you do have to run, of course, go ahead and run. No problem. Thanks for coming. So this is actually a good thing. And I just wanted to show this error. Sinatra doesn't know this ditty means that the URL that was requested does not exist. So some request was fired, and Sinatra is really nice. It tells us exactly what was fired and how we could fix it. If I literally copied and pasted this, it would work. However, what Sinatra doesn't know is I actually want to build a dynamic route. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my journal entries controller and add this route. And I want to add a show route for a journal entry. So what type of, what's the HTTP verb I want here? What Sinatra method am I going to invoke?
Before you continue, I meant to tell you earlier, but it's been a while since you submitted.
Okay, let's check it out. Good call. Thank you so much. You're exactly right. So, okay, I'm going to add my spec. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh crap, I just added them all. I'm not sure if I could, I'm sure there's a way I could unstage them, but this is just going to be a terribly long commit. So I'll try and just write everything I did. I added post, I'll say journal entries, and I'll just say post entries. Add new form and update spec.md. I don't really need to I don't really need to mention when I update the database particularly. That's not really a big deal. Thank you very much, Alvina. Yes, thank you. That was way too big of a commit, by the way. Each of those should have been like one commit. So now let's go ahead and add the show route in our journal entries controller. What is this going to look like? What's my verb? What's my verb? So show route is responsible for showing something that already exists. Get. So get is the HTTP verb. Sinatra was nice enough to name their methods after the HTTP verbs. Makes life easier for us. And this is going to be journal entries. Journal entries. Is this our first dynamic route in this application? It might be. I think it is. So who wants to tell me what in the world a dynamic route is? What do I mean by dynamic route? Anyone?
I know that the symbol you added ID,
Mm-hmm.
I know it gets translated into parameters.
It sure does. That's one piece of the puzzle for sure. And so we can actually test that out. If I say journal entries fish, hit enter, I should actually see a blank page. So let's just raise params.inspect. So hopefully I'll see a blank page, unless I didn't save it. I might not have saved it. Now let's refresh it. And I should see an error with params showing up the key of ID from here and a value of fish. And just to show off exactly what's happening a little better, if I say favorite taco type, okay? Now if I refresh the page again, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. If I refresh the page again with fish again as what's in the URL, I should now see a key of favorite taco type in the params hash and a value of fish. Fish tacos are my favorite. Okay, there it is. Favorite taco type fish. So so not only is this how we match the route, how Sinatra matches the route, but the dynamic pieces of the route becomes key value pairs in the params hash, and that's really important. I'll change this back to ID because that's what it should be. And what's the first thing I need to do inside of my show route? The very first thing.
Find the user, or find the journal entry.
100%. Let's find that journal entry. How am I going to find it? Journal entry. Dot what? What method can I use?
Find.
I can use find. And find is pretty safe here. Find does throw an error if it fails, and we can show that in a minute. But for the most part, a user is not actually going to go into your URL and type in something different for a journal entry here. So I think we're pretty safe here. And we're finding by the ID. Remember? Yep, cool, that's it, awesome. So now we have our journal entry, and what's next? Now that I've found this journal entry in the database, what do I do next? What's the job of this route? The job is to show or render a particular journal entry.
Do you redirect it to the actual entry where it's either clicked out or printed out?
I'm going to say yes and no. I'm going to say that's what I want to do sort of in terms of the English language. Yes, that's where I want to go. The reason I say no is because I don't want to redirect. When we redirect, we send a brand new GET request. And when that happens, all variables created within the block, okay, that we're passing within this particular controller route, within this particular action, get annihilated, they're gone. So redirects destroy instance variables. We want this instance variable to live on and be available inside the show page for the journal entries. In order for that to happen, I can't redirect, but what can I do? Anyone know? We can ERB. Yep, Catherine, that's right. Okay, so this is, so when we say, when I say render, by the way, I render and ERB, I use, you've probably heard me say this before, but I use those interchangeably. ERB is a method actually in Sinatra that turns around and calls another method called render. Once you get to Rails, you won't use ERB anymore, you'll have render, the render method. Anyway, so we're rendering, and rendering wants the name of a file reference from inside of our views. In this case, I want to show the show page for a journal entry. So that simply looks like this: journal entries / show. That looks weird. Oh yeah, because I forgot my quote. Whoops. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. That looks much better. So rendering versus redirect. Rendering simply doesn't change the URL, doesn't produce a new GET request, simply looks over into the views, finds the correct ERB file according to this reference, and loads it onto the page. All variables, I should say all instance variables created within this action will be available within this view. If I redirect, a new GET request is produced, all instance variables are annihilated and gone. Okay, so now let's see what happens. And just really quickly, let's just say, you know what, I think journal entries maybe should have a title. That's what I'm just thinking just now. But anyway, whatever. They don't yet. So what I'd like to show as maybe as a paragraph would be this journal's content, this journal entry's content. And let's just see if we get that. We're a little bit over time, so I'm going to be signing off here soon. But let's just see if this works. So now I'm going to go back to journal entries, new, and I'm going to create a new journal entry. This study group is almost over. Create my entry. It's a rather matter-of-fact entry. And hopefully I'll go to journal entries, probably number 5, because I think the last one was number 4. There it is, journal entries 5. Show page for the journal entry. This study group is almost over. So my instance variable lived on from the controller into the view because I used ERB, I rendered. So certain times when I render, I definitely want to keep these instance variables alive. I should say, certain time during, I should rephrase that. In certain controller actions, I'm going to need to use ERB in order to show data that I've just created or that I've just pulled from the database in one way or another. Okay. Any questions about this or anything we've talked about tonight? So I didn't quite get to an index page, but we got pretty far. I'm not unhappy with this progress. Any questions? None? Okay. Hey, I'm happy with that. Yeah, go ahead.
So I think sometimes where I am getting lost is with like logging in. Can you just like briefly go over the logging in?
Sure.
And then like just making sure that the user is logged in.
Okay, and so yes, we can talk about that briefly, but we certainly can. Let's see, git add. Let me just add this really quick. Let's see what the diff was there. Whatever. So we added the add journal entries show route, finish post route, or I'll just say create route. I should say action. Git add app views journal entries show git commit. Whoops. Oh my gosh. When you try to type too fast, you type slow. Git commit with a message of add populate content into journal entry show page git add dot git commit some DB changes, git push. Okay, so logging in and out. So Alwina, do you have anything specific, any specific questions, or do you want an overview?
If you could just know the route of the user's controller.
Okay, so our user's controller has a get login and a post login.
Yeah, this is where sometimes I just struggle with. Yeah, because I feel like I see it different ways. Where also this is the login, so the sign up. I think sign up is where I was struggling, but we didn't do sign up yet, right?
We did do sign up.
Oh, okay.
So sign up is here. The difference between sign up and login is sign up is creating a new user. Login is simply logging in an existing user. So that's why they're completely different.
Yeah.
And post.
Maybe I just need to like re-review it. It's just sometimes I feel like I struggle with that. So.
Okay, we can talk about it. I don't really have time now, but we certainly can talk about it a little later. But logging in is simply the act of adding a key value pair to the session hash after a user has been properly authenticated. We can also do that after a brand new user's been created. This is okay too. Some applications prefer to actually send a user, once they've signed up, back to the login to use their freshly created credentials, and that's fine too. Yeah, so I didn't realize I had this hanging. This is terrible. I had a hanging, a dead end here. So that line of code needed to be there. But.
All right, yeah, that's fine. I'll definitely re-review after you like push the code up to like GitHub.
Okay, cool, awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to add that actually. Git add dot git commit fix dead end in post login route. I'll say action. Okay. Okay, so everything should be pushed up to GitHub. I'm going to stop this recording.